Okay, so we are continuing on a pasuk we did on Thursday, which we'll review everything because it's been 5 days. Mishlei 21:19. Okay, Tov sheves be'eretz midbar me'eshes midyanim v'cha'as. Better to dwell in the. It's on the first page. It should be at least. Is it 19? Yeah. Better to dwell in a wasteland than a woman of contentiousness and anger. Okay, we got to be a little bit loose on the translations here. So Alter had translated as better to dwell in a desert land than with a quarrelsome, angry wife. So he's reading it. So the ambiguity here is like the anger, like what is the anger qualifying? So Alter takes the stance that she has two qualities. She's Ashes Midyanim, she's a woman of contentiousness and anger. Sadigon also takes that. He says to dwell in a wasteland is better than to dwell with a woman who is full of anger or master of contentiousness. And then he translates anger as provocation, as provocativeness. So in other words, it's a quality of the woman, but not that she is angry, but that she like angers her husband, or she incites him. Yeah. Picking fights, or prone to fights, prone to quarreling. Yeah. Okay, so our questions were, what are the qualities of Midyanim and Kas? Are these two separate qualities? Whose qualities are they? Okay, 2, is this specifically about women? Like, obviously the pasuk says it's a woman who is like this, but could it be like, could you say this to a man about, could you say this to a woman about a man, about her husband? Or is this like, in other words, is the trait gender specific? And then similar question, anytime you have a pasuk about a specific role or person, many times you can expand it. So let's say like whenever we have a pasuk about a king, usually you can expand it to anyone who's in a position of leadership or rulership. Or we have a pasuk about a judge, you can expand it to anyone who's in a position where he can like make pronouncements to like dictate what happens, So in this case, is it davka a husband-wife relationship, which is a specific kind of relationship, or could it extend to other close proximity relationships like a business partner, roommate, best friend, offspring, sibling? How far can it extend, if at all?
Did you just why a wasteland?
That is another question. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. I think I have that here. So likewise, what is the difference between this advice and then the general advice to avoid a shachen ra, right? There's a lot of themes here about like just avoiding, someone who's a bad neighbor. So what's specific about this? 5, better in what sense, right? So anytime you compare two things, you have to say it in terms of what. So what criteria are shared by living in a wasteland and with a contentious, angry wife such that they can even be compared? Okay, then why does he need to go so far as to saying wasteland, which implies like alone, right? Because wasteland is a place where there's no one who lives there. Why not just say better to be single than to be married to this kind of woman? Also, here's the question you're asking, what qualities of wasteland are being highlighted? Is it solitude? Is it removal from society? Is it the fact that it's a dangerous location? Is it that you don't have any resources? And then also like, we don't really have like wasteland. I mean, in New York, it's not. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, so I grew up in a desert. So like, I know what a wasteland is like, but like, is there in a urban society, like like we said, solitary confinement, like, is that a good corollary? 7, this was David's question, I think, isn't this obvious, right? Like that why would you want to live, with a woman like this? So we said also like, what's the havamina, the Mishlei havamina, and we said that it could be, it doesn't need to be one havamina. Like many times, you just are attracted. Let's say like you're attracted to her, or she has money or convenience, and then you just downplay this factor. So is it just like a generic, you fell into a trap because of some other good quality, or is there a specific, havamina that would make you prone to making this decision? And then what is the difference between this pasuk and the previous pasuk in the parak we did, Chaf Aleph Tes, which is, let's just look at that really quickly to have it in the back of our mind. Tov l'sheves al pinas gag me'eshes midanim u'beis chaver. Better to dwell on the corner of a roof, meaning like outside, than with a contentious wife in a house of friends. So it's similar advice, but different scenario. So if we can clarify that, that'd be better. Okay, so we came up with one idea last time, which was very good. So let's review that, and then we'll strike out into, not strike out like bad, strike out into, what was it?
That's just crisp. It's crisp outside.
It is crisp. That's putting it kindly. Yeah.
Woo! Garbage. Wow.
Oh yeah. Yep, definitely. Yeah, you feel like your joints become stiff just by walking through the air. Yeah. Okay, so the approach we said last time was from Isaac, and Ariel contributed to it, which was and let's just talk about wife in this case, right? So a wife is a support system. At least that's the ideal wife, is that she supports you in terms of like, there's the practical household roles, there's emotional, psychological support, there's developmental support in terms of like helping you like with decision making, there's intellectual like partnership, there's a social, like you're a unit, there's parenting. So, and I'm not saying Dapka with a wife, but like this, ideally this goes both ways, but she's a support system. So the term Isaac used was, it's a midbar is a place where there is zero support system, right? There's no society, no resources, no other person to like keep your psyche in check or to help you develop. So you might think that having a support system, even a bad one, is better than no support system. Okay, that's the Havamina, that's the specific Havamina. But what this is telling you, Kamash Malan, she is going to be deficient and harmful in all these areas. So in other words, you won't get what you need out of the support system, and she'll undermine it in many ways. So let's say like with the practicality thing. So because she's contentious and angry, let's say she's going to pick fights about like what you should do and what your responsibility should be. So like, and she'll refuse to do certain things. So you won't get that out of her. And like, it'll make matters worse because she'll dig in her heels and like create practical problems where there are none. I saw this great quote this morning, that this woman, a very, very accomplished woman, that she says she has a quote over her laptop that says, try to avoid compulsively worsening the situation, which was like a check on her. And like, I feel like people who are prone to anger compulsively worsen the situation, in terms of psychologically, I think that's the most obvious one, is that it's going to be, she's not going to fulfill your psychological needs, and she's going to make you in a perpetual state of tension and anger and fight or flight, socially, like no one, we said this last time, we said this is what the other pasuk was dealing with. No one, like, I guess you guys will find this out more once your friends are married, but like, there's certain people who are like, you really want to hang out with your friend, but like, yeah, right. It's just, and like, so she's going to poison your friendships, or like we saw in the other pasuk, she's going to actively like sow discontent and rumors in your social circles, like if she's into gossiping and stuff. Intellectually, I don't think she's going to really be interested in that kind of thing. Halakhically, she might have certain, again, like digging in her heels and like refusing to do certain things. So all of these things will not be fulfilled. She'll make them worse, and you'll be constantly miserable. And she'll ruin your other support systems, right? Again, I know many, unfortunately, many, marriages where like the guy stops learning because she gets jealous of chavrusas, like she doesn't want him to spend time like learning with people, and like that, then the guy stops learning, and also we said for all intents and purposes, it's a permanent relationship. I mean, now we are in a society with like, with a higher divorce rate, but like, even in our society, it's not a easy decision to just like get divorced, like, especially if there are kids involved, so it's just, it's a bad situation all the way around. So that was our idea last time. Okay. So any other insights or ideas now before we go into meforshim? Because I got a nice little menu of meforshim to go through with different nuances. Okay. So let's do this. Let's start with Rabbeinu Yonah, who's in your packet. And I haven't worked out ideas with all these yet, but I just I flagged the ones who are saying like nice idea. Oh, is Rabbeinu Yonah not on this page? Wait, where's Rabbeinu Yonah? Oh, he is on this page. Yeah. Right column. Oh, it starts on this page, then goes to the next page. Right. So he just quotes our pasuk and then goes on to page Taf Resh Aleph. Left column on Taf Resh Aleph, the brackets. Left column three down, three meforshim down. Okay, so he says, "Im ha'ish bal kas u'b'tzar ruach, tov lo shivto be'eretz midbar me'eshes midyanim." Okay, so that's already a big move. If the man is a wrathful, short-tempered person, okay, then it's better for him to dwell in a wasteland than with a contentious wife. Okay, so
they're both like this kind of person.
well, so that's what I'm wondering, right? Is contentious and what do you say? And wrathful, are those the same and it's just using synonyms? You know, or is it saying if you pair wrathful man with contentious wife, then that's the bad combo, you know?
Well, they both have costs, right?
No. So he's learning that the cost.
Meaning, what does cost mean in our pasuk, I guess?
No, but so he's learning cost as going on the man. The recording. Wait. Yeah, now we're resuming. Okay. Okay, so I don't know at what point we got cut off, so let's just start reading the Rabbeinu Yonah again. So we said that, okay, let me just im ha'ish ba'al kas uktzar ruach, if the man is a wrathful, short-tempered guy, tov lo shivto be'eretz midbar be'eshes midyanim, it is better for him to dwell in a wasteland than with a contentious wife. And we said that if you read that back into the pasuk, the smoothest way to read it is better to dwell in a wasteland than with a contentious wife and to be angry. Means that the vakas is going on the guy. And then he says, Ulamala ksiv, above it is written, Tov sheves al pinas gag, better to dwell on the roof of a house, on the corner of a roof, v'lo amar be'eretz midbar, and did not say in a wasteland. Lefi shehu medaber al ish reim shachaverim marchivim dato, because that's talking about a I'm gonna mute this in case something funny is going on. No, I can't. I don't know where I am. Okay, then because that's talking about a guy who's friendly and who has friends who are marchivim dato. You guys know what marchivim dato means?
Like distant from knowledge, like
this is not rachok. This is rachav. So literally means mind expanding. I don't think it's talking about like hallucinogens or anything like that. But it's a hard term to translate into English and preserve. What was that?
I think broadens your mind is an English euphemism.
Yeah, broadens your mind though is, I think we think of that as in intelligence.
Like it's friends intellectually engaging.
That's what broadens your mind would mean if we use that in that thing. But I think the way Chazal use it is like it makes you like have what do you call it? Like psychologically like happy. Like they say like yeah, there's a word I'm thinking of though. It's like homeostasis of the psyche, but yeah, there's a word peace of, like gives you peace of mind. Like we do say mind there. Like I think there's a chazal that says like Isha Yafa, Bais Yafa, and something Yafa Marchivin Data Shal Adam. Like having like an attractive wife, a beautiful house, and like something like expands your mind. It doesn't mean like intelligence, it means like contentedness, you know, like a baseline of contentedness, you know. Yeah. So anyway, so that pasuk 9 was talking about serenity now. That pasuk was talking about where you have lots of friends, or a guy who has friends. Kamosha mochiach sofa pasuk, like the pasuk proves at the end. Me'eshes midyanim ubeis chaver. Right. It says then with a contentious wife and a house of friends. Okay. So just to clarify here. You actually didn't miss much of it because we did a review and then we got kicked off of Zoom. So we just read Rabbeinu Yonah. So Rabbeinu Yonah is reading the pasuk as follows, okay? That this pasuk is talking about if you are an angry, short-tempered guy and your wife is contentious. So with that pairing, it'd be better if you lived in the midbar. Wow. Pasuk Tes was talking about if you are a socially pleasant guy who has friends, but your wife is a contentious wife.
And was he making a difference in English from that?
That's what we have to figure out because he doesn't spell out what the implications are. Yeah. So what's the idea? That's the question.
It seems like if you have friends like the edge of the roof, it's like you're still nearby. You can still engage in your friends on occasion when your wife's not driving you mad.
Right.
But when you don't have your friends, there's nothing for you in that town, then you should just go.
So you know what? That's reminding me. If we want to be responsible, which we do, we should look at what Rabbeinu Yonah said on that pasuk, because if he's joining this one with that one, let's make sure that we're getting those facts correct. I mean, what you're saying is a good shot. Oops, we should look at Rabbeinu Yonah, see how he is learning it. 9. Oh, is this in? It's in the first file. Okay. Mishlei 21, first half. You notice mine says third half. Yeah, it's because I always think I could get the whole parak in two, and then it doesn't work. And so,
I saw that right.
yeah, you just see it right.
Mishlei would say something like a third half.
Yes, it's very enigmatic. It's one of those riddles of the Chachamim. Okay, Rabbeinu Yonah says on this one, Tov Sheves Alpinas Gag Me'eshes Minyan Ubeis Chaver, Bir Inyan Ubeis Chaver, Afal Pishi Hu Beveso, even though he has in his house, very short, Rabbeinu Yonah. Chaverim Rabim Betovim, lots of really good friends. Chevras Isha Hara Tishakech Betashbis Kol Noam Chevrasam. The friendship, or I guess a relationship with an evil woman, he calls her evil here, unless it's just bad, a bad wife, will cause all pleasantness of the friendship to be forgotten and to cease. The imayin lihis nachem behen, and he will not be able to be consoled by them. Me'riv l'shona v'tugas chaverta, due to the contentiousness of her tongue and the depression caused by the relationship. Yeah, well, it does imply, though. I mean, I think it implies what you're saying, which is that like you have access to your friends, it's just they're not helping, right? They can't. I think maybe if I recall what we said there, maybe when we did Rabbeinu Yonah, is like you tell yourself, like let's say you make a classic mistake of like downplaying the bad qualities of this wife, and then you get married, and then you're like, oh no, this is much worse than I thought. You console yourself and say, okay, well, I'm just gonna like hang out with my friends, that'll make me happy. It's saying no. She's gonna like get into your head, or she's gonna be like, like you're gonna know that like the longer you hang out with your friends, and when you come home, then there's gonna be like fights and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly how this plays into what the pesukim themselves say.
Yeah.
I would think that someone who's short-tempered would be quicker to, like, if you were like with his wife and something was going wrong.
Yeah.
Someone who's short-tempered would be quicker to just leave and go over to his friend, or someone who's short-tempered, I think, would be willing to spend more time trying to work the situation better.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the flip of what these pesukim are saying. At least what we were just saying with Rabbeinu Yonah.
Right.
That it sounds like here where this is short-tempered and no friends around versus slower to anger and friends around.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It feels like to me like the two pesukim don't, like the person is not lining up with what the.
Okay, so let me just compare and contrast the way I think we're looking at it two different ways, and
I feel you.
I know it might be a different way to learn the Rabbeinu Yonah. That the way I'm looking at it is like pasuk 9 is talking about she has a bad quality and you don't, and that results in one kind of badness, which is that she poisons your social relationships. This one's talking about how she has a bad quality and you have a bad quality, and the two of them combined make even worse. Like that's like dynamite. In a bad way, not like dynamite, so that's how I'm looking at it. Like this is pasuk 9 plus, and it's a new result.
Yeah. And
are you looking at it differently, or?
I'm in a state of confusion because these don't seem to run smoothly.
Okay. Okay. All right. So what do you want to say, Sean? Maybe we'll put it together.
So I wanted to ask in terms of Rabbeinu Yonah, how is he placing the angry man in relationship to the man who is friendly? Right?
Yeah.
Are they opposites? Are they is he
right, or is it just different? Yeah.
Is it the same guy
right.
who was on the edge of the roof?
So
now he's an upset guy.
I think he's learned. I mean, I don't think he's teaching us this. I think it's just he's positing that the man of friends is not the angry guy. Like it sounds like the guy who's angry is not going to have friends. So are they opposites? Not necessarily. Like socially, maybe like one of them is going to. Like this guy, I guess I'm getting this from the fact that he says, actually, yeah.
So a few questions on
sure.
that. Okay. So if he's an angry guy and therefore has no friends, and therefore the friendship piece is not a factor, is it saying that therefore he might then think, oh, I don't have friends? Is that right. what is causing it? Or is it the anger that it the relationship between the two pesukim.
I think so. Yeah. Let me just repeat that. So we were just hold on. Let me just share the screen again. Yeah. Okay. So the question was that Rabbeinu Yonah clearly is learning that pasuk 9 is about a guy with friends, and our pasuk is about a guy who is angry and has no friends. And the question is, does he have no friends because he's angry? And like Rabbeinu Yonah is like incorporating that into the idea, or is it just like he's just trying to differentiate the cases so that you properly understand what this pasuk is talking about? Is that a fair? Yeah. And so I'm saying I think it's the latter. And Rabbeinu Yonah is just trying to steer us away from like misunderstanding the case. And the whole point of this pasuk is just to highlight what happens when you put these two volatile personalities together. Yeah. So
then it's a harder havamina that we have to answer.
Yes. Yeah. I think so.
Like, why would you ever think an angry person and a contentious person?
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I'm when you say something, Chaim?
I was gonna ask what's the how?
Yeah. So yeah.
I just had a thought on why a wife.
Okay.
Things here. In particular, where a wife is like a relationship that is not an easy bond to break. Let's say like versus like a friendship. Like, okay, like if we're just not working out well, just like let's say we'll just cut off our relationship.
Yeah.
But here where it's like something and like also something that you're living with, I think there is what to think that when you guys don't work well together, that like we're stuck, we have to work things out together. So there's a thought that I can then work on, say, my being like just very easy to like very short temper. She can work on her just like trying to like bother me all the time. And there is a thought that like you guys could work on things together.
Yeah.
Because you have to.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely. I feel like once people are in that situation, maybe that's how it is. I think it's a much simpler explanation. Is I think like what causes anger?
Contentious ones.
No. Well, I guess maybe what is anger is a better way to put it. Like, what is the, yeah, what internally, like what causes anger?
Ego.
Yeah, right. It's frustration of the circumstances and ego, but specifically in the sense of you expect reality to conform to your wishes, you know?
You wish it to be a different way.
Right.
Yes.
Right. But the expectation is on reality. Like you get mad at reality. It's like you're personifying reality, you know, like, why are you doing this to me? You should bend to my wishes.
Is that then placed on, let's say, the wife?
Yes. So I was gonna say, I think that's the thing is two angry people will always feel like they should be able to control what happens and that by venting their anger, it's going to make it happen. So I think that both of them just together are just like, you know, trying to compel the other one to do that. And like, it's funny because when she provokes you, you would think that would just like repel you and you wouldn't even try anymore. But because you're an angry person, it's just going to fuel the flames and you're going to, you know, it's going to make you even more angry. And you're going to be like, no, you have to, you know, like, I think that's just that's a good way to put it. They're amplifying each other's anger. So I don't even think it gets to the level of practicality that you're talking about, you know, where like we're going to have to work it, you know.
How does that help each other then?
It doesn't.
Oh, I was trying to say in a way that they would help each other out.
Yeah, I don't think they're thinking in terms of like we want to help each other. Like that's already a level where they can maybe.
For the Malbim, that's what I'm trying to. If it's not, then fine.
No, I mean maybe. I just don't think that's a flaw. I don't think people like this who are contentious really go into the situation with that havamina thinking about their anger as like a tool that can be harnessed. I just don't. I think they're much more short-sighted than that. Maybe I just haven't met the right angry people. Yeah, fine.
So from the Rabbeinu Yonah's point of view, who's the subject of the pasuk? Who's the pasuk supposed to be talking?
Pasuk is talking to the guy, it seems like, but it seems like the advice could equally go for if you know that you're a contentious wife, you know, or a contentious woman, then like you should avoid guys who are like this, you know. That's the other thing also.
Or don't be contentious.
See, okay, there are lots of solutions in Mishlei, right? Okay, so the derech of Mishlei is that, first of all, each pasuk is talking about a certain topic, you know, but Mishlei also is a very realistic book where it will often work with whatever your desire is and say, well, if you give into this desire in a foolish way, you'll get harmed. And if you channel it or reroute it in an intelligent way, you'll get good results. And my favorite example of this, because it's the Got it. Am I unmuted? Okay, good. I got back.
You said your
Yeah, okay,
favorite
good.
example of this is
Yeah, thank you. So the favorite example is Mishlei about revenge. That it compares the fool who takes revenge immediately with the other person who takes revenge after waiting till his anger cools down so he can plot out the best revenge possible in a way where he doesn't get caught. So Chaim could say to him, why don't you just not take revenge? Well, yeah, there's a high level where you don't take revenge, but what do you do if you're not on that level? So here, like, why don't you just change your personality? Well, not so easy to just change your personality. And it could be advising either spouse to, like, this is, okay, it's a given, you're a wrathful guy. We have other pesukim for that. But for now, you're dating, right? Like, so what do you do, And same thing for the woman. Yeah, Sean?
All right, can I give it a different interpretation?
Sure.
Okay.
Of
Rabbeinu Yonah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, so one of the questions that we had on the pasuk in general was, what was the difference between contentious and anger?
Yeah.
Right? Because they're very, very similar.
Yeah.
So instead, I'm just going to propose that they're different to correspond to each person, right? But fundamentally, they're not different.
Right.
Like they're both identical people.
Okay. I'm open to that. Yeah.
Instead of saying that they're directing their anger at each other, right?
Yeah.
It's that they have a similar anger towards whatever it is.
Okay.
Right. A person who is alone and angry at something, right, is not going to be as angry at that thing,
right,
as when he's with another person
Or
who's
harmful.
What
Or
harmful
Right.
to whatever the system is or
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
When he's with another person who shares in that thing, and it's
right.
talking about like the
That's
essential
good.
partnership,
Yeah.
right, of marriage in order to classify this idea that
Yeah.
when you're partners in your hate, then it's even more blinding. It's not just like a one-to-one relationship where you're like, my hate is just the same. It's just now I have some support.
Yeah.
It's like this is going to make things a lot more.
That's really good. Are you? Is this a separate idea, or you add to that?
So
Okay.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I just want to like clarify one thing. I think there is a difference between the contentious partner and an angry one. I think angry is they're angry at things, and the contentious one is purposely trying to get the other one angry because of their anger. Whereas just an angry partner is like, whatever, I'm angry.
I mean, that is an approach, but I think you are saying something different, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a little clarification on his thing. I don't think it changes what he's saying. That
I think what you're saying, the reality might still hold true,
Yeah.
but I'm viewing them as partners in this versus.
And I think the
stoking the fires of another.
you're saying they're not purposely stoking. They're just both angry, and it's
They're scheming.
Yeah.
yeah, what I like about your interpretation is it really like explains why the midbar is the essential idea of the pasuk, that anger vented alone can only cause so much damage, but when you I mean, it's almost like, I don't know what ideas Isaac taught about the complaining, but it's similar, it's similar to that also, is like you can very easily exacerbate the like if you're alone, it's kind of clear, or it's clearer or potentially clearer, that this is all in your own emotions in your own head. Like reality's not doing anything, but once you start expressing it and getting out there in a social realm, it makes your subjective malcontent into an objective quality of the thing, and they fight, and a bunch of other stuff happens. Yeah.
And I know that we mentioned this with the complaining when we did with Isaac, but also like the validation is a big aspect of it as well.
Yes, the validation,
Not
correct.
just
Yeah.
like, it's not just like putting it out there and getting other people like knowing about it. But
Right.
when they validate that, in this case, it would be that, because it's like, man, I really hate, I don't know, sidewalks. And the person goes, yeah, me too. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
like, "Wah!"
Exactly. Yeah. Just a good depiction of the midbar thing. I have only seen this movie once, and it was very good and was very unique. I want to watch it again. I don't remember because I only watched it when it came out. Castaway with Tom Hanks.
I haven't watched it.
So the premise of the movie is he gets basically like cast away on a desert island, and the whole movie is him being alone on the island pretty much. So I think there are some scenes early on where he gets angry and like ends up injuring himself. And he just realized, like, it kind of makes him face the fact that like, there is no point in me getting angry.
Right.
Like the island is not going to change. And like, I'm only going to make things worse for myself. And yeah, Sean.
The other thing I was going to add is just, I think also it's very easy to fall into this, right? Where
Yeah.
You're angry and you're, like people think that they can bond over their anger.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a very tempting
Right.
relationship.
Right.
And so this is like, and that also might be the man and wife, I guess, metaphor of it.
Yeah.
That it's like an attractive relationship.
Yeah.
And so it's warning you that this thing is going to lure you in, so be careful.
Okay, good. So that I was going to give a similar answer to David's question about the Havamina, is that there is a phenomenon of like being attracted to like, and I know there's the opposite proverb of opposites attract, but like, there is a thing like that, and not just in terms of the dynamics, but just the similarities, and also you hear, I feel like I've heard of a lot of cases where you have a husband and wife duo that they get passionately angry at each other, but they're also passionately in love with each other. It's like, I mean, I feel like it's a stereotype in certain ethnicities. Like you hear this a lot about like Italians, that like, yeah, right. And so it could be that there is some actual like relationship in their personality, like their profile, that like results in both qualities, and there is something about the root of the anger that binds them, yeah. Okay, so I had a different approach to this pasuk, and this is based on my intuition. I wouldn't typically give an approach like this, but I'll say it anyway, is I think that this pasuk is not even really about anger and contentiousness. Okay, I think the essential idea is about that there is such a thing as harmful combinations that are tolerable when you only have one bad quality. Okay, I'll give you an example. Let's just take the example of a contentious wife and a husband who is kasha lichos, who's difficult to anger, right? So I know of I just have two examples in my mind. One of them happens to be my great aunt. Okay, so two I was talking about stereotypes. Two cultures that have contentious people in them are Israelis and Chinese. Okay, right? Like very, very aggressively like picking on other people. Like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Nagging, whatever. So like I know of two couples where there's a Israeli, or maybe more actually now I think about all the Israeli woman, and then a Chinese woman, my great aunt Esther, and they're married to people who are much more well, in the case of my great aunt Esther, her husband was like this docile Chinese guy, and then in the case of the other one, there's people who just aren't bothered by that. You can have a situation like that where it works out, like not all contentiousness has to result in misery if the person is inclined to the opposite extreme, but this will never end well, like I guess what I'm saying is like this: there is a phenomenon of a yin yang type relationship where each one has an extreme quality which could be bad in excess, but they make a good match and they somehow like work together, and even something like contentiousness, like, yeah, it's going to create problems, but it's not going to like automatically like exacerbate the situation, and this is talking about where it will. And so I think having that like that idea that they're partnering up, whether it's in a marriage or like a business partnership or whatever, with someone with a bad quality, like there's one question of what are the consequences of that bad quality. The other question is, what are the consequences of that bad quality plus my bad qualities, which could result in something that's much, much worse, So I don't know if that's what Rabbeinu Yonah is saying. That's just an idea that I got from this, is that and I think that's also answering the question about Ariel's question, what's the difference between this and saying avoid a shachen ra? I think when you think of avoid a shachen ra, you're just thinking about their bad qualities, but it takes a different degree of like honesty and introspection to realize, okay, I have bad qualities that this person's bad qualities are going to make worse. And I have to like factor that in also, Okay, let's do another of them. Oh, wow. We don't have that much time. All right, let's quickly just look at a few other meforshim here, okay? This one is not in your packet. This is the Malbim. Okay, Malbim says on Yotes, Tov sheves be'eretz midbar me'eshes. Okay, Kvar amar lamala shetov l'sheves alpinas gag me'eshes midyanim im ena ba'alas kas rag me'oreres midyanim im shecheineha ubnei besa. So he learns it that the previous pasuk about dwelling on a roof is where she is not a wrathful person, but she does start up fights with your friends. Okay, so we said example that could be someone who's just a gossiper, right? So gossipers aren't necessarily like angry people, but they do start up fights with people because they're spreading rumors and stuff. Okay, but he's learning that our pasuk is davka. So he says for her, Sorry. Oh, sorry. In that case, where she starts up fights with your friends, you need to distance yourself from your friend group, and live on the roof with her, where she won't find people to pick fights with. It's weird because you think she'd pick fights with him, right?
Yeah.
But so he's learning though that you're living on the roof with her, okay? As you know,
this is a different step then. It sounds like from this is saying you shouldn't be on the roof with her either. You should be on the roof on your own. It sounds like.
Yeah, and Rabbeinu Yonah, right? You're talking when you say this.
I'm just even saying the pasuk itself.
Yeah. Oh no, so he hasn't explained our pasuk yet. Okay. So now our pasuk of all im hi ba'alas kas, but if she is a ba'alas kas, if she's a wrathful person, tachisehu gam shama, she will anger him there. V'tzarech livroch mimena el hamidbar, and then you got to go to the desert. So
according to the Malbim, it is the same guy.
It's the same guy, but different women, right? So in the case of 9, she is content. She starts up fights with your friends, but she's not wrathful. Right. So there you can still live with her, but you just have to avoid your friends. And then this is where she is she's a provocative person. She'll even provoke you, and then you gotta escape. So what's the idea here? Yeah.
Just to clarify, she's on the roof with him here?
No, in the pasuk 9, because this one doesn't talk about a roof. The pasuk 9 one is better to dwell on the roof of on the corner of a roof.
With her or away from her?
So he's learning it with her. We didn't learn it like that last time. Yeah, that's how we learned it. We learned it that better to dwell, we learned the scenarios like this. She's in the house with your friends, right. And if you're there, you're gonna be miserable. So you got to go on the roof and leave her in the house. You know, Malbim saying no. If it's you and her and your friends, she's gonna make a lot of things bad. Yeah. So you can live with her in the apartment, you know, and just keep her separate from your friends. Yeah. Right.
But if she then makes miserable,
yeah. But if she's angry, if she's anger, right, then you have to separate from her also. Yeah. So what would be the idea here? And also, what is the difference in the qualities? Does that matter? About the contentious person. Let me just see how he described the contentious woman in 9.
Pinat Gog is that the woman there is one who she herself is not angry, but she causes anger.
No, that's
understanding.
Okay. So
yeah.
Tov l'sheves al pinas Gog me'eshes midyanim. So she's just midyanim. She's just contentious, but not midyanim v'kaas.
Okay.
Our pasuk is midyanim v'kaas.
Okay, so that's both those within her verses. Okay.
Yeah, and so let's see what he says here. He says, so that we this is the one we liked last time. Tov l'sheves hagam shetov l'sheves b'beis chaver. Even though it is also good to dwell in a house with friends, rach lemer b'bayis sheyesham chabura, meaning a house where your friends are there. Im oavim b'chaverim v'reim, with loved ones and friends and comrades. V'lo tov l'sheves galmud, and it's not good to live alone. Aval mi sheyesh lo eishes midyanim, but if you have a contentious wife. Lo tov l'sheves b'veis chaver. It's not good to live in a house with friends. So he says different things she does. Tiskotet im chaverim. She starts up fights with friends. Ad she is hafchu lo la'oivim, until they become your enemies. O te'ora midyanim b'neihem, or she starts fights among them. She makes them fight with each other. O tevazehu lifneihem, or she degrades you in front of them. Okay. Va'az tov l'sheves al pinas Gog. Nifrad mehachaverim, then it's better to live on the roof separate from friends. Oh, look, he quotes our pasuk also. Uva pasuk yotes yomar kitov l'sheves be'eretz midbar meishus midyanim bakas. Better to live in a wasteland than to live with a contentious wife who is angry. Shim hu balkas. Oh, now he's saying he's angry. Shim hu balkas. Az gam l'sheves al pinas Gog be'ir lo tova. Then it's not even good to dwell on the roof in a city. V'tzarich livrach mipaneha al midbar. Upasuk zeh kaful l'kaman, and the pasuk is repeated later on v'yis barasham and explained there. See,
it could be that she angers him, right?
Yeah. So he did say that in pasuk yotes, right? She angers him, right? Correct. Yeah. So the two qualities are, if she just causes social fights, so then you can live alone with her because she's not going to make him angry. But if she is a balas kas who makes him angry, then he should go to a midbar. Yeah. So now it's clear what he's saying, right? But what's the idea? We have to stop soon. I'm just thinking.
It's a holiday though, also.
Yeah.
It's probably the same holiday that we've been saying the whole time of some form of support system could work or be better than none.
So let's do this. The fact that he says that the pasuk is repeated in 25, 24, which I think it's a verbatim repetition. Let's look, 25, 24. 25, 24. Tov sheves apinas gag me'eshes midyanim ubeis chaver. Right? So there are a couple of instances in Mishlei where it repeats a pasuk verbatim. So since a bunch of you are going to be gone on Wednesday, so then let's spend a third day on this pasuk. We'll finish up, we'll try to come up with an idea for the Malbim, do the meforshim that I didn't get to today, and then we'll see if any other meforshim on 25, 24 say something different. Okay? So let's quickly review what we did though with Rabbeinu Yonah. I think we had several ideas for Rabbeinu Yonah. So Pshat Rabbeinu Yonah was that our pasuk is talking about where she is Ashes Midyanim and you are a wrathful guy, and saying don't pair up together, right? So Sean's idea was that anger in solitude is going to cause minimal damage, but anger with another person is going to be amplified in a way that's going to cause maximal damage and misery, right? You added to that, shiur, something which I thought was a good idea. But do you remember what you said? On Sean's thing, yeah.
Because I think it's more maximized when one of them are contentious and then purposely causing the other one to be angry. If there were just one of them that were angry, then it would also amplify the anger. But
yeah,
both of them are angry.
Okay, right. So that was the amplification thing, right? Because that's part of the idea. I had the idea that it's talking about, it's warning you against the mistake of not factoring in your own bad midos when trying to evaluate how the other person's midos will affect you. You only think, how's this going to affect me? Not what combos this going to create that could be worse, greater than the sum of its parts. And I mean that like idiomatically and IFSly, and then do we have another idea at the very beginning? I feel like we did also. I don't remember it though. All right, let's stop here for today. Okay. All right, good.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.